Okay, we're back talking about big data. Now we're going to talk about big data along with artificial intelligence. And we talk about this as the power of that partnership. Okay, so we already talked about what big data is, but let's just review for just a second. Big data is going to be this massive, complex databases that traditional data processing, these traditional data processing methods cannot handle. You have to have, basically the way they work is multiple computers are used at the same time. It's kind of like what happens in a Google server farm when you're doing searches, and there's not just one computer working, there's a whole bunch of them, hundreds if not thousands of computers working. Okay, so AI then. This would be the systems and the algorithms designed to simulate human intelligence. That's what AI is for. Human intelligence. We're going to try to simulate human intelligence, and the systems that we use and the algorithms we use to do that, that makes up AI. Okay. Thus, big data, and this is the key right here. Big data fuels AI by providing the raw material, that is the data, that AI needs to learn and improve. So when you go to a chat box, or ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, and you say, could you write me a paper on such and such? What's happening is big data is giving the fuel to AI so it can do and it can accomplish that task for you. Okay? So AI, the algorithms and the systems do the work, but they need to have fuel. So they use data from big data. So the algorithms will be designed to go into the big data and search big data and have big data put together a response to a question or a comment or whatever. That's how it works. The connection is big data is the fuel that is going to drive AI. Okay. So I talked about the V's a while ago, so I won't go make a big deal of this now. Value and volume and velocity and variety, veracity and viability. The last one, viability, came into being strategic and business aspects of a project that wasn't in the thinking of the first people that talked about big data. I should also point out that if you went to Microsoft has another V. They don't use viability, they use visionary. That you need to be able to see the data, see it do something. So that's just another twist. But the main three V's were value, volume, the three main V's were volume, velocity, and variety. Value and veracity were also added, and then along came viability later on. Okay, so I said that the systems of AI are what's doing all the work. What are these systems? Okay. How AI works with the data. Okay. First, we have what we call machine learning. And this is a machine teaching itself. It improves as it gets more data. It gets more data. It can process this data fast. It can store it. It can remember it, etc. And these are called machine learning. The machine is learning by getting more data. Just like you and I learn when we get more data. The machine does the same thing. But it's a machine and not a person. Okay? Then we have what we call deep learning. These are really sophisticated neural networks that thrive on large data sets. These are systems that have been designed to try to function the same way the human brain does. So as you can see, people putting these together, there's all kinds of interdisciplinary combination here. You have to have psychologists, you have to have physicians, you have to have engineers. There's a lot of people involved in designing things. This is why it's so expensive to design them. And then we have natural language processing. This is AI's ability to analyze text data so that when I send a note to AI, to my chat bot, and I say, can you tell me, how many planets there are, or can you discuss the planets for me? I'm using natural language, and it has to understand it. And AI has been trained to understand regular text data. Okay. So AI then enables big data enables AI. So the role of big data in AI development then is that it is the data is the fuel that for training the AI models. When you hear about AI, you always talk about this model and that model. That's just what the AI people call them. They're all models. Okay? They look for patterns and trends discovered through data analysis. Okay? This is how the autocorrect works on your phone. It's looking for patterns and trends, and that's why it sometimes guesses the wrong word. And you look like an idiot because you sent your friend a note that has some stupid phrase in it. Okay, the more data, the better, because you can make predictions, recommendations, and decision making. These are all better with more data. So the big data companies are consciously and continually collecting big data, collecting data all the time, and having it processed through their servers. Okay, Netflix is an example. It makes recommendations. Its AI has been trained on the user data that what do you watch? You watch these movies. It keeps a database on you connected to your account, and that way it can give you recommendations that you might like. That's a real simple use of it. Okay, so AI enhances the analytics in addition to actually powering the systems. Now we're going to do analytics. So AI supercharges the data insights. So what AI does is the algorithm goes through and analyzes the data and gives us the insights. It can also do automation. You may or may not realize this, but on Blackboard, I have a couple AI things that will send you notes every once in a while if you score a certain thing on a forum or something. I don't tell you about it, but AI is doing that. Okay. The thing that is, the AI can probably recognize patterns that we might miss as people. And the real-time data analysis for actionable insights, things that we're going to do right now. So we can do real-time data analysis because it is so fast. Okay, when I send a note to a bot, it can return it immediately. If I ask it to do a search of the web, it can do it immediately. So that's real-time data analysis, an example. So predictive analytics, we talked about healthcare. We can predict what's going to happen if the person takes this drug or doesn't take this drug or whatever. Okay. Okay, so okay, now let's talk about some what we call synergy examples. A synergy is when two entities get together and do things that they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. So where big data and big data and AI work together. So for example, in autonomous vehicles, AI uses real-time sensor data. Remember I talked about sensors once before. So we get sensor data. Okay, now that's a bunch of data. The sensors are going to collect what's in front of us right now or what is in the environment, send it back to a database that has big data. This has to be really, really fast, as you can imagine, okay? We can personalize medicine, for example. AI can analyze your history as an individual patient and your genetic data. In other words, we can look at what you've done as a patient, but also what you inherited. And we can tie that in with doing an algorithm that will actually search the big data to give us personalized medicine. We can also detect fraud easier because, again, it detects patterns. And if the pattern is out of whack, for example, suddenly you're doing a credit card transaction in Brazil and you've never been to Brazil, that's a pattern, okay? And that kind of anomaly will be detected by AI. Okay, now there's some challenges here. And I'm going to talk about the barriers to combining big data. It's not all, rosy. Sometimes it's difficult. The big problem is the data quality. If you have bad data, if you're getting bad data, you're going to have garbage in, garbage out. You're going to have bad results if you have bad data. So that's the number one key. The data must be true. That's where veracity comes in, okay? We can get a lot of it. We have to make sure the quality is there. Privacy concerns, risk of data misuse, using it for, things that you shouldn't be using it for, to find out people's social security numbers or their passwords and that kind of thing. Computational cost. This is really where it comes in. There's a high processing power. It takes a lot of energy to do a lot of the AI stuff and a lot of processing power, and a lot of it electrical bills. In fact, I was reading one place where they said that some of the project you might do on an AI bot could actually take up as much energy as 2,000 houses. So that's a lot of energy that'll be taken up. Okay, so the key point is overcoming these challenges is crucial for success. And the people developing AI are constantly working on these things. Now, I talked a while ago about healthcare. I'm going to go through just a couple more types of use of the combination of AI and big data. Diagnosis and treatment, the IBM Watson, which is a entity, which is a bot. Health assist in diagnosing diseases and recommending treatments. DeepMinds, which is a company owned by Meta, I believe. AlphaFold predicts protein structures, aiding pharmaceutical research. Okay, now this is being done with AI with big data, not just big data alone, like I was talking about a while ago. PayPal is an example of, they have a fraud detection. PayPal uses AI to flag unusual transactions in real time, so they'll know immediately. Also, robo-advisors like Betterment can help you with your investment strategies. There's a thing on TikTok I've seen where they say, give me $20 and we'll turn it into no telling how many thousands. And I don't know how well it works, but they are designed to work. Okay. In retail, Walmart is my example here. Walmart predicts demand to optimize supply chains. They use AI to predict how many things have been sold already in this department or this particular item, so we know how much inventory we should have. And the genius behind Walmart is a lot of times they don't buy the inventory until it goes on the shelves. And AI, Amazon is another in retail. It suggests products. It also tells you what you bought before, as you want to buy it again. And it would then say, well, you haven't bought this, this, and this. Here's some things you might be interested in. Okay? So, transportation, autonomous vehicles, like Tesla's autopilot, navigates and avoids collisions, we hope. Okay? But it's using sensors, it's using AI, along with the big data. Traffic management. Google Maps predicts congestion and suggests routes. Every morning, Alexa comes on and tells me how much traffic there is between my house and the campus, so I know which route to take. Pretty cool. And in education, we talked about before, but adaptive learning, think about Duolingo, which is an app you may use. It personalizes lessons, so based on your own performance. Okay? Also, you can have a tutor. Squirrel is another application that is used mostly in elementary schools. AI provides personalized instruction and identifies knowledge gaps when the students use that program. Again, I mentioned Netflix. Entertainment's another area, a huge area where AI is being used. Content creation. Netflix uses AI to produce original content tailored to audience preferences. I just wonder how long it's going to be before all the movies are AI. Ooh. And then, of course, the video game design. AI creates realistic NPC behavior, dynamic storylines. Okay. So, agriculture is another area. I talked about agriculture before, some of my favorite areas. Precision farming. John Deere's AI-powered tractors optimize planting and harvesting. I talked about that before. It tells you exactly how to plant and how to then harvest this thing so you get the most yield out of your fields. Okay, also another area in agriculture is Blue River technology, which targets weeds with precision sprayers. So you can use a drone that can fly over a field and spray the weeds that it needs to. Some weeds it doesn't care about, but some other weeds, like you're growing soybeans or corn, there are certain weeds that are bad for those crops. You can have a bot that is a drone that is programmed with AI using big data, going back and forth, analyzing to get rid of those weeds. Customer service is another area. We use chat bots. Sometimes they're very frustrating. They go in circles sometimes, but they are AI-powered bots, and they assist in resolving really simple issues. When you get too deep into it, sometimes they don't work so well. Another one is the sentiment analysis, and this is AI gauging public feedback from social media and with certain social media apps so that the people that are running the social media can improve their strategies, probably for getting more customers. Okay, those are some of the apps that they use. What are the future trends? Where are we going with all this? Okay, we're going with AI data-driven generation. That's why we always call, you know, Claude or, we call them generative models because they're generating stuff. Okay, they're generating, and they can generate synthetic data or real data. Either way. Advances in edge computing, like I said before, edge is a type of router that you can use that has a wider range and it's faster than what you would usually buy. It costs a lot more. But that's one of the things, and it is often run by AI. And then, of course, we hope that there'll be more ethical AI and data usage frameworks to work with so we know what we should and shouldn't do. Okay. Big deal is the algorithmic bias. I'm talking about AI having all these algorithms. What about the bias in those algorithms? Let's look at that. So models must provide insights into the reasoning behind their conclusions to ensure fairness and accountability. In other words, that model, when I go to Claude and say, give me some information on the history of television, it needs to give me reasons why it is giving me what it's giving me. It's got to be accountable for the answers it gives. Okay, we have diverse development teams. Okay, we need different perspectives, people from different countries, people from different social and groups, economic groups, to help design and implement the phases and identify and eliminate potential biases. In other words, we want as much diversity in training the AI bots as we possibly can. Ethical governance, regulatory frameworks, and cultural shifts within organizations that prioritize ethical responsibility alongside their operational efficiency. And then rigorous auditing, ongoing testing and independent auditing of algorithms constantly to detect and resolve discriminatory patterns. Look and see what kind of answers the bots are giving so that the AI developers can improve those bots. Okay, so we have a symbiotic relationship between big data and AI. AI needs data to learn and improve. Big data benefits from AI's ability to analyze and act on data. Together, they drive innovation across industries. So the call to action here is think about how you can leverage big data and AI in your own field, in your own business or whatever. Okay, that brings us to an end for discussion of big data. Next time, I think next class we'll be talking about AI. Okay.